I've watched every single possession that Jimmy Butler has played for the Golden State Warriors, and I wanted to break down everything that I've seen that has been extremely positive from Jimmy Butler's early returns with the Golden State Warriors. Hopefully you guys do enjoy today's content. If you do, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And when it comes to Jimmy Butler's actual success with the Warriors, first of all, he's played 4 games so far, averaging a little bit over 32 minutes per game. And you look at his scoring uptick from how he was playing in Miami earlier this season. I think we're not surprised by that at all with how checked out mentally he was from the Miami Heat organization, specifically how his last few games went. Jimmy Butler has looked significantly better in Golden State from, first of all, an actual effort and motor perspective, and then also the actual fit on the court has been quite good as well, which is what we're going to break down in this video. He's averaging over 21 points. Now the three-point shot hasn't fallen quite yet, and now it's again very small sample size, right? We're talking about 7 three-point attempts in 4 games, so I'm not going to get too riled up on whether or not he's making a high volume of his 7 three-point attempts. It's really not a big deal because what he has done has been very, very productive and efficient and effective in a bunch of different ways, getting rebounds, getting in the assist column, being a defensive disruptor, all of the things we know Jimmy Butler for. And I think specifically for basketball, when it comes to someone like Jimmy Butler, this is a very interesting overlap between X's and O's and Jimmy's and Joe's. And I think for the Warriors specifically, any move that they needed to make around Steph Curry needed to address both of those things. Steph Curry is such a unique superstar, someone who thrives so much off the basketball. In fact, this year we've seen a little bit of on-ball regression from Steph Curry, something that I don't think has been talked about enough. But with Steph Curry's shooting, the way that he gets defended even when he does not have the basketball, having another player like Jimmy Butler who scores in the mid-range, can get to the rim, has very good functional balance, coordination, and strength, and then also you look at his ability to play make out of stationary or live dribble situation scenarios. This is a cerebral player who fits in the actual team dynamic when it comes to passing, playmaking around Stephen Curry and around Draymond Green. And he also fits in around those guys as a cutter, a slasher, a driver of the basketball, a live dribble facilitator. And I think with that in mind here, Golden State's offense has been completely reinvigorated and opened back up again to what we've seen from Steve Kerr in the past, which is a very brilliant offensive system. And a lot of it comes from the rim volume. I think with Jimmy Butler, one thing that we've seen is very opportunistic playmaking from Draymond Green, specifically with him being the low post scorer, taking advantages of mismatches, exercising some of his strength and toughness. And I think with the Warriors spacing and their utilization of non-shooters, which is something they've historically done really well. You think about some of their championship teams, they've traditionally had non-shooting big men and Draymond Green. And of course, a large part of why that is successful is they do have the greatest shooter of all time in Stephen Curry, who draws so much attention. But Jimmy Butler's ability to get to the rim, whether it be off of drives or post-ups or seals, he's done a variety of different things that have worked really, really well. And one thing here specifically that stands out to me is his screening. That is one thing that I think has been a very, very good addition so far to Golden State's offense in the first 4 games we've seen from Jimmy Butler so far. When he screens, it puts the defense in a unique spot here, because if you're the Bulls, you obviously don't want to leave Steph Curry unattended. Now look at the slip. He gets downhill, catches right at the rim. Again, that's where that functional balance, strength, coordination all plays out really, really well. These are very difficult finishes that Jimmy Butler makes look rather routine because of his coordination, his ability to catch the ball on the move, understand where he's at on the floor and still score. This was perhaps my favorite play of Jimmy Butler's entire tenure so far in Golden State. This is kind of to their patented post-split action. Now, typically they set the post-split toward the corner so that Curry's coming toward the basketball. This one a little bit different. Curry actually back cuts this one. But as you can tell here, this puts the Mavericks in a tough bind with Draymond Green in the post. And again, I don't think NBA teams really know how to guard this. If I was coaching an NBA team and Draymond Green's catching in the post, if I'm Najee Marshall, I'm sagging off of him. I'm going to dare him to shoot a mid-range jump shot over me or to drive the basketball at me and try and make him turn into a scorer. With Najee Marshall pressed up onto Draymond Green, the paint is wide open. Not a single Maverick in the paint at this point in time, and it turns into a Jimmy Butler slip. I want to play this one again in full speed because I do think this is one of the most important clips of the entire video. One that really shows why Jimmy Butler and his willingness as a screener opens up opportunities for him as a scorer out of slips, out of rolls, and giving him that paint pressure, paint presence that the Warriors just have not had. This one coming off of a Steph Curry screen. He rejects the screen, cuts back door for a lob. And this is where the passing of Draymond Green specifically is a beauty. This is one I want to go back to here real quick and pause on and show, because this one is one of my favorite ones. The Warriors have been using 13 action and 31 action, kind of the inverse of each other, where sometimes Steph Curry has the ball and Jimmy Butler is going to come and screen. We saw an example of that earlier in this video with Jimmy Butler slipping and scoring on his slip. Here now Jimmy Butler has the ball, so we're running 31 action with Steph Curry coming up to screen. And when Steph Curry comes up to screen, the defenses freak out, because Steph Curry is the most dangerous ghost screener. He's the most dangerous pick and pop guy in the league, if you want to look at it that way. Whatever it is. And here's another split. And this one's not even a post split. This is just a wide split. But look at how beautiful that is. Jimmy Butler gets unguarded at the rim because of Steph Curry's gravity. And of course, the passing of Draymond Green. Here's a little pistol action. Jimmy Butler gets to the paint, draws in defenders. And again, this is where quality passing stands out. Makes a good kick out, back out to Draymond, gets back into the play as well. And then another area that I think has been beneficial for Golden State is just Jimmy Butler's ability to get to the rim in transition, be a transition finishing threat. When the Warriors do get stops on long rebounds, whatever it may be, Jimmy Butler is a better transition scorer than the other pieces that they've historically had around specifically Draymond Green, Steph Curry. Again, look at the functional strength here. Goes right into Najee Marshall's chest, bumps him off balance. And this is where, again, the cutting, the rim volume, we're going to let some of these clips replay just so you guys can get another look at them. All of this stuff has been really brilliant from Jimmy Butler in the early returns for the Golden State Warriors. Again, the post splits, the pistol action, the high splits, whatever you want to say for this Warriors offense. Steve Kerr is a brilliant mastermind when it comes to utilizing non-shooting, utilizing off-ball screens, and he has the best off-ball mover of all time in Steph Curry to make it all work. And Jimmy's fit into this as a scorer, as a slasher, a driver, a cutter, and a finisher around the rim, both in transition and in the half court, have all been brilliant additions so far for the Golden State Warriors. And again, a lot of it stems from his willingness to set screens, his willingness to do some of the dirty work, play out of these advantages that Steph Curry here in the 13 action creates for him. It's very, very good offense. And then you also go back into the fact that Jimmy Butler is still Jimmy Butler. And when it comes to actual shot making talent, he is one of the premier mid-range shot makers. We've seen him win playoff series by himself almost for the Miami Heat in the past. Now, obviously not explicitly by himself, not exclusively by himself, but he's given the Milwaukee Bucks fits in the past. He did it again in his game against Milwaukee. He's just been an effective scorer of the basketball, and a lot of it, this one coming off of kind of a DHO action with an extra screen in there. There's been a lot of pretty offensive scoring opportunities. Again, working off of screens, being a ball handler, being a shot maker. And if you guys have been watching the mock drafts on the channel this year, I've constantly mocked mid-range scoring for the Warriors. And I think a lot of people would be kind of confused by that because of the way the game plays now. But I think with the areas of the floor where Golden State already dominates, which is at the rim and on the three-point line, having someone who can give you that extra element, kind of like what Sean Livingston used to provide for them, it just made the Warriors unguardable. Having someone who is so good in that third level, the mid-range, which has been a shot that's been dying, having a player who is capable of shooting a lot of them and making a lot of them, like Jimmy Butler is, has been a real blessing for them. And then this is the one three-pointer made so far as well for Jimmy Butler, again coming off of a good action here in what is essentially 14 action almost. Draymond gets the ball off of a little bit of a short roll after setting an off-ball screen for Curry. Again, this is just patented Warriors offense, so it's not surprising to see Jimmy Butler thriving in this as both a cutter and a shot maker. Those are the two biggest things that he's going to bring to Golden State, is timely scoring and effective scoring from different areas of the court than what Steph Curry specifically scores from, which is why Jimmy's fit so far in Golden State has been so brilliant offensively in the scoring department. But what really excites me is his passing, specifically out of the mid post. And there's two different kinds of passing. There's stationary passing and live dribble passing. He's good in both of these categories, stationary and live dribble. decision making. Mid post, gets a little bit of a mid post isolation, kicks out to Quentin Post, who's been an awesome story and development for them this year out of Boston College. The other thing is utilizing him in zones out of the nail. You'll see a plethora of clips here with him catching in the middle of the floor, utilizing Draymond Green. Here's a short roll in that 13 action, gets to a pivot, finds Draymond Green in the dunker spot. This is easy offensive creation. Back to the mid post, going at Alperen Şengün. Drive kick, this is another one I want to go back to. This isn't a super flashy assist. You're going to see this. You're going to say, okay, well, this isn't very pretty. But what he does here is gets rim pressure, gets 2 feet in the paint. This is a huge paint touch, and paint touches are so important, especially for Golden State, a team who has a lot of connectivity and plays off of high IQ, cerebral players. This kick out to Brandon Podziemski, what it does is it forces a closeout by Amen Thompson at the heart of NBA basketball, and basketball at any level, honestly. The entire point is offensive creation relies on advantage creation, which leads to drive and kick opportunities, which leads to closeouts, which leads to layups or open shots. And that's exactly what Brandon Podziemski gets here off of Jimmy Butler's paint touch earlier in the possession, forcing a double team. You also see Jimmy Butler in some of these live dribble actions here. Now as a ball handler, goes through a read progression and finds a roll and replace shooter in Buddy Hield. I want to go back on this one too. Watch Jimmy Butler come off of this. Buddy Hield's going to shoot up from the opposite side block, roll and replace. Josh Giddey has no idea who he's supposed to be guarding here. He panics, jumps at the shooter. Hield gets a nice pump fake and shot off. I think just Jimmy off of pistol action here as well. Another great example of him just being able to read the floor. Finds a shooter in the corner again here in Quentin Post. Quentin Post is a brilliant option here for the Warriors alongside these other players. Here he is in a stationary setting, letting Steph Curry do his work off the basketball. Everything that Jimmy Butler does offensively, whether it be out of live dribble creation or kind of reading the floor, being a cerebral player, playing off of Steph Curry and Draymond Green. This trio is one of the best trios in basketball. Here he is again, telling Draymond Green, hey, go get in the post. You've got Kyrie Irving on you. This is a level of floor general, court vision, court mapping, court understanding that the Warriors didn't have with Andrew Wiggins. And again, you're seeing him direct traffic in a lot of these clips. And I think that's, first of all, very important when Steph Curry's off the floor. But even when Steph's on the floor, having someone who can make these decisions, make these tight window passes, drive and move the basketball in creative ways, which is what Jimmy Butler does really well. Watch this sick dump off here to Kevon Looney. Gets an easy layup. Jimmy Butler's rim pressure, rim volume, playmaking, play decision making is all going to be really, really good. And just like we talked about with his finishing in transition, he can also get out and run in transition as a facilitator. Here gets a hit ahead pass to Buddy Hield. And again, the whole point of this, you're going to say, well, none of these clips are super crazy passes. Good basketball doesn't require flashy passes. They don't require the most high level, oh my God, that's the craziest pass I've ever seen. No, a lot of it stems from, can you get to spots on the floor that leverage the defense to make moves according to your positioning? And that's something Jimmy Butler is so good at. Gets to spots on the floor where he becomes a real threat to score. Right here, multiple Bucks feel like they have to step to him. It opens up Draymond for a wide open dunk. This is the type of stuff that we just continually see from Jimmy Butler. Draws attention, draws bodies, stays grounded, plays on balance, plays into contact, can finish around the rim, obviously has all of the tools as a scorer, shot maker. We've already talked about that. And all of those things lead into him being a very good court processor as a facilitator because of the gravity he has as a scorer, and now the pieces he has around him in Miami or in Golden State, which are vastly different than what he had in Miami. Because one, you have Steph Curry. You didn't have Steph Curry in Miami, and I think Steph Curry is such a game changer, a court manipulator with the way that teams have to guard him and defend him. It just makes life so easy for Jimmy Butler in a really fun way, working off of all these actions, utilizing Steph as a cutter, as a flare option, as a off-ball mover. It's just been very, very great in the early returns of Jimmy Butler's tenure with the Golden State Warriors. Then, of course, defensively as well. I think, I don't have a ton to talk about here. We all kind of know what Jimmy Butler is as a defender, but I just wanted to show off some of his best clips defensively and some of the playmaking on the defensive end of the floor, the event creation specifically. Some of these plays, whether they're blocks or playing in the passing lanes, specifically his role as a gap defender for Golden State has been wonderful. You look at the event creation here, getting his hands on the basketball, getting out and running for Golden State, something that, one, I think if they do more of, they're going to be even more devastating, especially with the shooting that they have, and then Podziemski as a playmaker. Some of these clips are just otherworldly. His anticipation skills defensively really stand out. And again, for Golden State specifically, a team that I think really thrives off of players who can make high-level reads on both ends of the floor, the way that Steve Kerr's offense runs and the way that his defense kind of asks players to rotate and make plays in the gaps. Jimmy Butler has been a perfect fit into this area as well, as just someone who understands when to bring help, when to make plays at the rim, when to make plays in the passing lanes. Some of these clips are just so incredibly impressive, and I think specifically this one here is one of my favorites. Comes off, rips the ball out of Brook Lopez's hands on a Kyle Kuzma pass, and then ends up shooting free throws here on the other end. I think that was a great example of what Jimmy Butler has brought to the Golden State Warriors so far. So for my overall thoughts, first of all, I've been very impressed with Jimmy Butler's early tenure in Golden State. They've been winning as a result of his presence. He's been an effective play finisher for them and an effective play creator. And when you find a player who can seamlessly fit into both of those roles around your best player, which is Steph Curry, and your other top 3 player, which is Draymond Green, there's a lot of unique optionality here for Jimmy Butler as a ball handler, as a screen and cutter. There's so many ways that Jimmy Butler is going to find an impact here in Golden State. And honestly, when I graded the trade initially, a large part of my skepticism around the deal was the sheer money that the Warriors offered Jimmy Butler. The 2-year, $115, $120 million contract extension is a significant amount of dough for Jimmy Butler. And I think with how things have ended in a lot of his tenures, I was very skeptical of that. But I don't think I harped enough on how good of a fit he truly is in Golden State. And I think so far through the first 4 games of his Warriors tenure, I have been nothing short of absolutely impressed and dazzled by his presence so far for the Warriors. So if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe. There's a lot of great things going on in the Bay Area now that will catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.